All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Bo. I'm here with Acelab. We're helping out hosting today's event with American Metalcraft. Today is an AIA-approved event, so attendance will be reported directly to the AIA. I'm going to send over a form in the chat in a moment, just in case anyone didn't register with their AIA number. You can make sure we have it by submitting it into that form, and I'll send it again at the end of today's event. I'm going to give folks a few minutes to join and just run through some more information about Acelab and how you can find American Metalcraft's team on Acelab. So if you have any follow-up questions after today's event, it's a great way to get in touch with them. And if you have any further questions about Acelab after today's event, you can feel free to reach out to me. All right, so Acelab provides free non-sponsored product research. We are a platform that's completely free for architects, specifiers, construction professionals to use. We are started by architects for architects. So here's a snapshot of our team. We've got a lot of folks with a really wide range of experience in the architectural industry. So we all really came at this, wanting to provide tools and resources for the jobs that we were doing ourselves. So this is kind of a little example of some of that workflow issues that we were looking to solve. So the ability to get in touch with people at the right moment, to find information on products from past projects, and to really just have one place where you can be able to go through your whole specification workflow from the research stages all the way to the, contacting professional stages, all in one place, as opposed to spread out over Post-it notes and text messages and different project files. All right, so with that, I'm just going to jump over to Acelab, quickly show you how to find American Metalcraft and get in touch with them. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and get started with the portion of today's event that's the AIA-approved course. All right, so once you log into your Acelab account, you've got a handy dashboard of all of the work that you're doing. We've got all of our searchable product categories up here, so you can use these to discover and explore all of the products that we have in our database. And if you know exactly who you're looking for, you can go ahead and use this search bar right at the top. Type in the name of the manufacturer that you're looking for. That'll start to populate with some options. And then you can just head right over to their page on Acelab. You can get in touch with them directly here using this handy little contact button, and you can explore their products, their information right from this page. So this is a great way to be able to explore and evaluate their products. You can, save them to your account, save them to your projects, and really have all of your research, your organization all in one place, and you can even message through the Acelab account as well. So it's a super great way to be able to get in touch with manufacturers and to be able to keep that information organized. All right. With that, that kind of ends my quick intro about Acelab. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at this email here. Happy to provide a free demo, show you more about our tools and the way that we work with architects. I'm going to go ahead now and send over the AIA form in the chat. So please take a moment at some point today just to submit your AIA number there. If you're an AIA member, that'll make sure that we have it. And I will send it again at the end of today's event in case anybody missed the first few moments here. All right. A few other housekeeping items. Just want to encourage folks to please submit questions throughout today's event to the Q&A. We have Scott Sampson on here today with us as well. He's going to be helping out by monitoring those questions so that they can get answered during today's event. And we're definitely going to save some time towards the end to be able to answer some questions out loud as well. And we will have a record of all of the questions that are asked. So if we don't get to your question today, don't worry, we will be able to follow up with you after today's live event. All right, that should take care of all of my housekeeping items for now. So with that, I'm very excited to hand it over to Holly. Holly from American Metalcraft is going to be presenting today's event on designing with perforated metal panels and products. So with that, we can go ahead and get started.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Bo, for the introduction and for the opportunity to present today. My name is Holly Gotfredson. I'm the president and owner of American Metalcraft, as well as our sister company, Finishing Dynamics. So one question I get quite a bit is, how in the world did you wind up in metal fabrication? It was definitely not a linear path, nor was it my childhood dream, but rather something that kind of flowed from getting married, learning more about the business, the industry. I grew up in the art world, so I spent my first several years outside of college at the High Museum of Art in Atlanta. wanted to become a curator, and moved from that dream that kind of, progressed into more adulthood, so to speak, and did marketing and advertising for about a decade. And when I got married, my husband and father-in-law would ask me occasionally to do marketing and advertising projects for them. With those projects, I became more and more curious about what they were doing and what they were creating in the built environment. And the more that I learned, the more I fell in love with it. So they brought me on full time about 20 years ago. I moved up through the different positions of leadership in the business. And in 2017, I purchased American Metalcraft from my family. And in 2021, I purchased Finishing Dynamics as well. So we have 2 WBE certified companies that we offer diversity to your supply chain. So with that, let's move to just a few of the professional organizations that we belong to. We thank Acelab very much again for this opportunity. We're part of Associated Builders and Contractors. Of course, we're part of AIA as an education partner, as well as the Rain Screen Association in North America and the National Association of Women in Construction and Women in Manufacturing. My father-in-law started American Metalcraft in 1986, so we are celebrating 37 years as a leader in metal manufacturing. American Metalcraft products can contribute to LEED points, credit 4.1 and 4.2. We are very sustainably minded, and most of our metal is recycled, 80% recycled content, and then when that building has those types of products on it and is going to be decommissioned, it's 100% recyclable as they're pulling those products off the building. So here's just some examples of some of the projects that we've been involved in. Several products are part of our product line. We do rain screens, brake metal, column covers, perforated panels. Of course, we're going to talk about those in depth today. Custom sunshades, which we also can perforate. We can do custom exterior elements and more. Because we have our sister company, Finishing Dynamics, there's no minimum order as to all the different colors that you may want to choose for your project. So with the paint line, you can do 5 or 6 different greens, for example, or 5 or 6 different reds, and you won't have to order 5,000 square feet to get that color. So you're really not relegated to a particular palette, maybe 15, 20 choices. There are endless color options for American Metalcraft products. And we engineer, fabricate, and finish all under one roof. So that saves our customers time and money, as well as keeps trucks off the road between 2 separate facilities. On the left-hand side, we're looking at a K-12 project in Missouri. And that was where we matched a school color and then did some color gradients to kind of flow with that. On the top right, this is something that an architect brought to us as a sketch and said, can we build this? Is this constructible? Is this doable with the budget that we have? And this is it in finished form. We really enjoy architects challenging us and having those types of ideas where we can stretch our capabilities. The bottom left, we have Lee Summit Utility Building. That made the cover of Metal Construction News in their 2020 edition Hall of Fame. That's our RS100 system there. And then on the far right-hand side is our Rain Screen RS100 patented system. And that's a VA hospital, also, I believe, in the Midwest. We do all types of buildings. We do healthcare, K-12, higher education, airports, corporate buildings, you name it. We're located an hour outside of Atlanta, but we are coast to coast, so we ship anywhere in the country. On the top left, you're going to see an example of one of our largest projects to date. This is Fort Bliss Hospital in El Paso, Texas. This was a 3-year project, 130,000 square feet of rain screen panels, fascia and soffit panels, and column wraps. On the far right is SeaTac Airport. That's some brake metal and some spandrel panels we did for the Delta Sky Club. Bottom left, we're also looking at RS100 different panels on a wellness center in Iowa. And then on the far right, LG headquarters in Englewood, New Jersey. And that's our RS100 and our RS400 Miami-Dade rated system. Few more examples here, and then we'll jump into our class material. We do occasionally get requests for wet seal systems, although that's kind of been trumped by the rain screens, which are very popular these days. But that's on the top left, that's a wet seal we did in the Carolinas. Far right-hand side is more rain screens, and I believe that's Kentucky. This is Purdue, University of Purdue Laboratory building. We did some sunshades for it on the far right, an elementary school in the Carolinas as well. So let's jump into today's topic, perforated panels. We have a couple of learning objectives that we want to achieve today. We want to talk about the difference between coil coat and post-fabrication finished products. We want to understand the basic decisions, how to choose a perforated product, and how each of those will affect cost. Looking at the different pattern options that may be out there, and also want to understand how those pattern options affect flatness, metal thickness, and also how we're going to assemble that and attach it to the building. So some advantages of using solid plate aluminum products is it's 100% recyclable and non-toxic. It's impact resistant, it's non-sparking and non-magnetic. And most importantly, it's non-combustible. So solid plate aluminum is NFPA 285 compliant naturally. It does not burn. We also have PVDF coatings, which are applied to those solid plate aluminum products, and that PVDF coating self-extinguishes. It has a very good strength to weight ratio and can be joined in many ways. So we've noticed some confusion in the market about the differences between coil coat and plate. Most coil coat is going to be a thinner gauge. You may be looking at, what's the difference cost-wise between those two products? Well, with coil coat, let's start with the modules that you can make with that. The modules typically are going to be very small, 1 foot by 1 foot in terms of panel size. And if you get larger than that, you're going to have to add stiffeners. And those stiffeners being added to that are going to increase your cost. So it's better to go with the correct gauge for the engineering criteria and for the wind loads than using a thinner gauge to try to save a little bit of money. And then when you add those stiffeners back in, you still run the risk of getting read through or pillowing. The other difference, especially when we're talking about perforated products, is the interior of those holes. So when you perforate solid aluminum plate in its raw form, you're going to punch everything out, and then you're going to post-fabrication finish it, meaning that all those holes are coated inside and out, so there's no rough edges. Think about, especially in a school application, a healthcare application, if you're doing perforations through coil coat, you're going to have a raw edge that's going to be exposed in those perforations. And that could lead to people getting cut if they're running their hands. If you're using those perforated panels as like an infill panel for a stairwell, kids could cut their hands, all kinds of different things. And if they're outside, then that creates an opening for oxidation and rust to occur pretty much immediately. So post-fabrication finishing perforated products is really key for longevity and for strength, for resiliency, and also for safety. Coil coat typically, again, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to order at least 5,000 to 8,000 square feet to get one particular color. With post-fabrication finishing of any product, in this case today, we're talking about perforated products, there's no minimum. So if you want to do 8 or 9 colors on a building, you can do that, and there's not going to be a huge cost overage for that. Also thinking about wind loads with coil coat versus solid plate aluminum, which is going to be 080, 090, 0.125, 190, all the way up to a 1/4 inch. That's going to be able to withstand higher wind loads than the coil coat, which is of the thinner gauges. So there's a couple of different ways that we can achieve perforations. The first is going to be what you're looking at right here is our two punch machines. On the left-hand side is a Euromac, and on the right-hand side is a Trump. So typically you can buy tooling for these machines to achieve multiple different types of patterns. Those are going to be standard hole sizes. You can also do rectangles, ovals with those. You can also put a gang punch in those so that you can hit a panel once but create multiple perforations. So this is a good economical way to achieve a perforated product. Another way to do that, it's going to be a little bit more on the higher end of things, is going to be a water jet or a laser type cut. So with a water jet, you can do like a Harley Davidson logo. You could do a corporate logo, all different types of signage. If you want a custom perforated pattern, let's say, excuse me, you want to have different hole sizes on the same panel. This is going to be the machine that will allow you to do that. So the possibilities are really endless when it comes to creating a unique look for your project. Let's see if this video will work. Here's the water jet in action. We actually purchased one in 2020. It's the largest bed on the market. It's an Omax, and just killer technology. We're really loving the capabilities of what it can do. Definitely, we want to talk about NFPA 285 and combustibility. I know most of us are probably familiar with what happened in Grenfell Tower. There was some ACM that had not been tested that was part of that exterior cladding. Unfortunately, that went up in flames very quickly, and a lot of lives were lost. So when you're considering different types of exterior cladding, you may have less expensive options. The right option may be a little bit more expensive, but you definitely want to consider the safety of the occupants and the longevity of the building. Solid aluminum plate panels is a great way to go because, again, they're non-combustible, they don't burn. It's just a great product where you can really feel comfortable about that choice for your project. Let's talk a little bit about, there are some products that are flame retardant, some that are flame resistant, and non-combustible. Typically, ACM and MCM are going to have a core with two thin sheets of metal on either side. And that core may be fire resistant or fire retardant for up to 30 minutes. But the core is, a lot of times made with plastics and things that may not be recyclable upon decommissioning of that building. We're looking at two different pictures here. One, the bottom right is solid aluminum plate. Top left is going to be an ACM sample. We put welding torches on both of these at the exact same distance for 4 minutes, and you can see the difference in what happened to those panels. So when you're talking about, again, perforating something, solid aluminum plate, because you can post-fabricate finish that, you're assured that all those edges are coated versus an ACM panel or a coil coat type panel where you're going to have exposed edges. So let's talk a little bit about the equivalent solid metal concept. So the more openings and holes that you have, the less strength you have inherently in the metal panel. However, using thicker metal can sometimes offset the weakening of a more open pattern. So just definitely have a conversation with your panel manufacturer, with your perforated products manufacturer about if you have an idea for a pattern, but you're unsure as to how that's going to affect the strength to weight ratio, how it's going to affect, the openings and the brittleness of the brackets in between. Definitely have that conversation so that you can choose the right gauge and choose the right pattern. And here are just two easy rules of thumb for perforations. The hole diameter should be greater than the material thickness, and the bar width should be equal to or greater than the material thickness. So, Scott, do you have anything else you'd like to add as we're kind of just going over choosing perforated patterns?
Yeah, well, one thing to keep in mind is a lot of folks, sometimes the first time they see some perforated examples, they see all these tiny little holes, little 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch holes. When you get away from the building, they tend to go away. We kind of call that cheese grater patterns. We try to stay away from that. Generally, most of these projects you're about to see are using a 1-inch hole when they're round holes, and that becomes pretty nice from street level view. So be very careful of those tiny little holes, and again, metal thickness is critical as well. I don't think we do much of any real exterior perforated panels that are less than 1/8 inch 0.120. I know we're looking at one to provide for MARTA that's going to be beefy up to 1/4 inch. So, and like Holly said, a conversation with your panel manufacturer can help with that. But stay away from thin metal and tiny little holes.
Yep, for sure. Thank you, Scott. And by the way, that's Scott Sampson, our national sales manager. He's coming to us today from Alabama. So thank you, Scott.
How y'all doing?
So definitely something to think about is your panel size. What you want to do, especially for budget and using the material to the highest and best use, is to think about the standard sheet sizes that aluminum comes in. And you're looking at them right here on the screen, 36, 48, and 60-inch wide. So if you're thinking about doing a perforated panel with flanges, you want to allow 3 inches on either side for those flanges. So if we're thinking about a 30-inch face with 3 inches on either side, boom, we've gotten that 36-inch, we've hit that mark, and we've used 100% of that panel. Now, of course, if we're not there and we have let's say we get a module on a project and we unfold it and it's maybe a little bit over one of these standard widths. So let's say instead of 48, it's 49.5. Well, we just missed using a 48-inch sheet, so we're going to have to go to 60-inch wide. So there will be some drop, which of course will be 100% recycled, but there was an opportunity for us to save your customer money there. So it's just a great thing to think about when you're planning out your wall systems or panel modules. Utilizing these widths to the highest and best use will save money in the long run. We do have a chart of this on our website, so please feel free to use that as a resource. We have a frequently asked questions tab under one of the menus that you can go under and see these, along with some other really good Q&A type answers there. Now, I didn't mention 72-inch wide, and that was on purpose. So when you might remember in 2017, 2018, when we had the metal tariffs, 72-inch wide had a pretty long lead time before that, but once the tariffs were implemented, we had a lot of peaks in the metal market. The scarcity of that material increased. And then add COVID to the mix, and it increased even more. So it is available, but please talk to your panel manufacturer before you commit or really get married to the idea of having this size panel module, just to make sure that that material and that width is available. So just some things to keep in mind as you're thinking about perforations for your project: the hole shape and pattern. So the shapes created with the punch are going to be the most economical. Hole size, the spacing of the holes can't be less than the thickness of the metal. Again, we want to avoid anything getting too brittle, too thin that could break. The bar size, exact same reason. Don't go thinner than the 1-to-1 ratio with sheet thickness. Really thinking about your percentage open. Definitely try to stay under 70% so that we're not weakening that metal too much. You want to keep your borders to a minimum to reduce distortion. And before specifying a custom pattern, definitely talk to your manufacturer about tooling, runtime, available material, and also pricing. This is a great opportunity for a manufacturer to really help you out. If you've got a pattern that may be super intricate that you are just in love with, but it may be outside your budget, there may be a solution that lies in between, and that's a great conversation for you all to have. We offer design assist. I know many in the industry offer that. So that's just a really great opportunity for you guys to work together and come up with something that's going to be beautiful and economical for your project. So the aluminum metal standard sheet gauges are 080, 090, 0.125, 190, and 1/4 inch. And typically we see, for the most part, it's going to be 080, 090, and 0.125. Those are the ones that we see most often. When you get up into 1/4 inch, a flanged edge condition is not going to happen because that metal is super thick. So that's going to be a sheared edge condition in all instances. And definitely thinking about the limiting factors of gauges is going to be the size of the panels and the wind loads. Excuse me. So different types of metal alloys. The 3000 series is primarily what we would use for bending and forming, great for perforating as well. It's very conducive to that. It's very soft and malleable. The things in the 5000 series are going to be tougher. You definitely aren't going to form them, but you can shear and punch them. You know, there is an alloy out there that's anodized quality. That's going to be definitely more expensive. And also you want to consider, what are the processes that occur with anodizing versus, let's say, liquid painting. Anodizing is a chemical process. It's pretty harsh. It's very tough on the environment. You also may run the risk of what's called checkerboarding. So typically your perforated product or panel is going to be in a dip tank. It's going to be dipped for that anodized finish. If you look at panel 1 versus panel 500, there's definitely going to be a difference in color and finish. With the liquid paint, you're going to have more control over the process. A lot of manufacturers have adapted cleaner ways of painting. I know we have. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But that's going to be an applied extrusion coating that's going to be applied through E-stack guns. And that's going to last a super long time. It's not nearly as harsh on the environment, and you're going to be able to get a warranty with that. And it also doesn't require something like an anodized quality level of an alloy. And then finally, in the 6000 series, that's going to be primarily for extrusions and curtain walls. So different types of examples of perforated options and projects. There's a couple of different ways to attach. We're going to talk about a structural versus face fastening today. You'll see examples of that. This particular project was, we utilized 1-inch round holes. It was about 47% open. We've definitely noticed an increase in popularity as far as, I know, excuse me, with wellness campuses in particular, we've seen an uptick in where the parking garages, the architect and the owner really wants those screened. And so perforated panels is a great way to do that, to really create an aesthetically beautiful structure that kind of flows with the rest of the campus. And again, there's, you know, limitless options as to what you can choose and perf pattern, what types of colors you may want to add to your project. So it really does give a lot of leeway there for creativity. In this instance, the end condition is flanged. This was a project where we created the structural tubing system. So we engineered, fabricated, and finished everything you see here. We worked with the concrete vendors pretty closely to find out where the embeds should go, and spent months with our engineering team and their engineering team creating a structure that would meet the needs of the project. Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about the details here, and I'll just kind of flip through as you go?
Oh, sorry, I was been typing answers to questions here. We got some good questions coming in.
Oh, good.
Today.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to attach perforated panels. It seems that in a lot of conditions, we're attaching the overall system into concrete. This particular project was for a parking garage, and the system, you'll see through the details, you can see the anchor bolts going to the concrete. We got together with the concrete folks and figure out the strength of their concrete, where their embeds are, and do various calculations and determine how often we need to fasten into that concrete. Now, this system is probably one of the more complex systems that we've done. What the architect wanted here is they wanted the panels to stand off the building, and this support metal to be part of the feature of it all, which we figured out all the support metal required to support these panels, keep the panels, oh gosh, I think it was over a foot off the building in some areas. And then in some cases, the panels, the perforated panels themselves will cantilever off the bottom of the support system nearly 40 inches. So when you see, think, wow, well, that's an awful lot of backup for a perforated system. Those are the reasons. Big cantilevers and off the wall by over a foot. But anyway, in this case, we got together with the engineers, the concrete folks, calc it all out, and provided the support system. As you can see here at the curved area, it really stands off. All that was painted in-house, along with the perforated panels that were painted in-house. And those holes are 1-inch holes there. So, and this project, the next project was 1-inch holes as well. So when you get away from the panels a little bit, the holes tend to go away a little bit. So there you go.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, so I love this example. This is another way that you can utilize perforated panels over glazing. This is just a great way to shade a room without completely darkening the space. Sometimes we've seen where awnings are used and the occupants feel like they're kind of in a cave, so to speak. It's really dark, and it is kind of keeping the sunlight and the heat out of the room, but this is kind of a really nice happy medium. So it cuts down on the heat, it gives the occupants a little shade, but they can still see outside. It creates some really nice shadows. It's a great opportunity for you to have kind of a custom design, maybe a logo, maybe a landscape if you want to create those shadows as the sun moves in the room. So there's just a lot of opportunity to do some really creative things with perforated panels over glazing. Here, this was a sheared in condition. These were face fastened. And this was an instance where, we were getting ready to start fabrication, and somebody said, wait a minute, since these are over glass, how are we going to remove the panels? Scott, can you tell us a little bit about that? I think we did this in partnership with MBBJ.
Yes, this was NBBJ out in Seattle. And on this particular architectural drawings, there really wasn't a real attachment point on the architecturals, which was fine. So we took the drawings, came up with a system that would attach, in this case, to a knife edge attachment point coming off the curtain wall. So you can see we have the perforated. If you go back to that detail,
yep. There you go.
There on the upper right, you'll see that you have the perforated panel, and we needed to make sure that the panel was going to be strong enough to withstand the wind loads and stay flat. So we developed a support system around the perimeter of the panel to support it, and then it attached back into an angle that attached back to a knife edge that came off the curtain wall. And Holly, I didn't know if you mentioned or not, but they decided, hey, gosh, we might need to make these panels removable in case the glass needs cleaned or dirty. So right before production, we scrambled and came up with a way where those face panels can be removed from that framing system, where you could get back to the glass and get to it and maintain it. So that there's another example another way to attach perforated panel.
Yep, great, thank you. So this is another example of perforated panels over glazing. This looks a little bit different. It's a little bit further out from the glass. It is a sheared edge in condition. The hole size is a little bit smaller. It's 3/8 of an inch and it's 40% open. This was on an educational building out in Moses Lake, Washington. And here's some details of that. Now, this was a really fun project. We love to kind of dive into new areas. We had never been asked to do perforations as well as dimpling, but this was an opportunity for us to try that out. So the architect really wanted something unique. This was for the Navajo Tech University in Chinle, Arizona. So we did a couple of iterations of this to figure out, okay, how's the best way to achieve this look? And by the second or third time we had figured it out, we created a new capability. And you can kind of see it right there if I zoom in. It's a very subtle difference and it's a very subtle detail, but it really is a unique look and oops, turned out beautifully. And my slides just went wonky. Well, let's see. All right, there we go. Yeah, there's a nice close-up picture of it as well. So again, just perforations in general just gives you so many avenues to do creative products, so to speak. There's a couple of details of that. We kind of had to look at each window and create custom panels around that. So here's an example of using perforated panels as infill panels for a staircase. And again, it's just a nice architectural element. This was a super bright yellow. The perforations are all coated on the inside, so there's no chance anybody's going to cut their hand on an unexposed edge. I will say we did recommend a thicker gauge for this. We are always looking at deflection standards and making sure we can get the most flat panel possible. But our recommendation was not taken, and so they wanted the thinner gauge, so you can see a little bit of a wave there. But again, that's why, you know, when you have those conversations with your panel manufacturers, definitely listen to the recommendations to achieve the best look possible for your project. This is Westminster High School. Here you can see perforated panels as a structural railing on the top of the building. This also had our RS 400 Miami-Dade rated panel system in the vestibule. I remember wondering why in the vestibule, but it's, you know, teenagers. They're going to have book bags. They're going to have sporting equipment. They're going to be roughhousing as they're walking into school. So sure, Miami-Dade system works for that, I think. It'll last a very long time and stand up to a lot. So there's a couple of details there of the perforated panels on top there. And the attachment method was a little bit different on these. This was a face attachment with a keyhole hanging system. So you can see there's a variety of ways to install these types of products. And then you can also use perforations in custom sunshades and fins. That's another great way to, you know, stave some energy off the building and also create a nice focal point for your project. Excuse me. In this instance, we did some vertical fins on the South Carolina Aeronautical Training Center. So it takes, you know, creates a little bit of shade for the occupants, but it also looks really nice and creates kind of a focal point there. So you can see those in production on the left and then the finished product on the right. An attachment method there was to the curtain wall bracket. There's a couple of details. These are perforated panels as sunshades. This is at SFSU in California. The in condition here was framed. And Scott, can you talk a little bit about this install and how we were looking at manufacturing these panels. I know we did work pretty closely with the installer, and we try to do that with every project because we want, of course, for the installation to be as easy as possible to save time and money.
Yeah, I guess one of our strong points to a manufacturer is the ability to help out with design and engineering. Design assist should be a big part of any good manufacturer. And in this particular case, there's some big spans here that we were concerned about, and we had to incorporate some extra members coming off the building to reduce the span of these panels. But when you look at these kind of systems, whether it be perforated panels or solid aluminum rain screen panels, you need to look at it from not just a manufacturing standpoint, but an installation standpoint as well. So when we get into somewhat into design assist, but certainly when you get into the shop drawings, you want a manufacturer that is not saying, oh, well, maybe they should have thought of this or that. You want to make sure it's clearly shown on your shop drawings how these panels are to be attached, and in a fashion that the installer can actually achieve what's drawn on there. And a lot of that went into this piece as well.
Definitely. Thank you. These are a couple of the details for that project here. And then here we have some perforated panels as sunshades. Now this is a very simple fin. It's a really nice perforated pattern, and then some industrial clips attached to the glass there and the curtain wall. And so it really turned out beautiful. It's a very simple design. It was on a tech center in Charleston, but it really does add a nice detail overall to this project. And the in condition here was flange and sheared edge. And then, of course, if you want to get into custom cutting, here's a couple of examples of that. On the left-hand side, we don't do a lot of steel, but in this instance, the customer required steel panels for an interior application. We have a lot of different hole sizes, so these were created on the water jet. On the far right-hand side, you'll see a custom pattern, kind of a leaf pattern. This was one of our first water jet projects. This is the 14th Street Bridge in Atlanta. So you can create really nice organic shapes in addition to the variety of size holes you see on the left-hand side. And even music notes. This is a recent project we did for William and Mary in Virginia. This is a music facade. So there's just such a wonderful, unique variety of options when you're working with solid plate aluminum and PVDF finishes. And here are those steel panels going through the paint line. And on the right-hand side, you can see them in application. Unfortunately, this was for a juvenile detention center, the waiting room. They wanted it to be beautiful, but they also wanted it to be safe and secure. So they had requested steel products for that purpose. There's a couple of drawings of that. So this is another parking garage project that we had in Philadelphia. We just wrapped that up spring of this year. Really cool custom oval pattern. Did about 900, I believe, panels with the attachment system for this project. Just again, showing the variety, showing some options of things you can do on different structures. I mean, perforated panels are great as a screen for just about any application. Parking garages is where we've seen it a lot, but restaurants, hospitality, healthcare, if you want something that's semi-private, that's a nice way to add an elegant touch and also allowing, light and air through. So when you're looking at perforated products, something else to consider is the coating. What coating is going to be the correct one for your project? Definitely, we want to know what's the location. Is it going to be something that's on the coast versus something that's in the Midwest, let's say? Those two locations are going to require different things. When you're thinking about the coastline, you're definitely going to want a 3-coat or 4-coat application for that harsh saltwater environment. Also to consider is what's the warranty requirement? Let's look at all the paint manufacturers and see which one of the big three has that warranty that you require. Also looking at exotic colors, thinking about, does your project require a warranty? You may love this super bright, vivid blue, like over here on this right-hand side picture, but the paint manufacturers themselves won't offer a warranty on exotics that are extrusion coating applied. And one of the reasons for that is they have to add a lot of different minerals in order to get that super vivid color. And so they don't offer a warranty on those. But again, this is a great opportunity for you and your panel manufacturer resource, your extrusion coating resource, to have a conversation. Let them help you find a blue that's close to that, or red or a yellow. And those are the three that are typically considered, they have an exotic category. But your applicator and your panel manufacturer can have that conversation with you and find something that's close to it, but that carries the warranty requirement that you would like. And then again, the post-fabrication advantage, having those edges coated, making sure that the product is protected for years to come. And then also thinking about pre-treat. Typically the standard many years ago was chrome, but we know, if you've seen Aaron Brockovich, you know that chrome is bad for the environment, bad for people. It's just kind of bad all the way around. So a lot of paint applicators have switched to cleaner processes. We were one of the first to implement that about 12 years ago, and we use a zirconium-based pre-treat, which is much cleaner. It doesn't create solid waste. It's much safer to work around, etc. So PVDF, and this is the full word, and I am not going to try. I'm not even going to go there because my Southern will get in the way, and I have never been able to say this word as long as I've been in the business. So I'll just keep it as PVDF for short. But it's a great coating for these reasons listed. And what's interesting about it is I learned during the supply chain shortage that a lot of the PVDF resin was going to the electric car battery industry. And that's because it's such a great coating that all the electric car batteries use it. It's also used in special fishing wire as well as medical equipment. And it's just a great coating for building products because it lasts a super long time. During the pandemic, when there was a shortage of PVDF, we pivoted and discovered another capability that we could offer. So when maybe PVDF was going to take too long to get in, we could also offer FEVE. Some more words I can't say, but FEVE is a great coating. It has a little bit more gloss to it. Now, I will say it's 15 to 30% more expensive than PVDF, but if it's something that you're really looking to get a bright, vivid color, maybe we can't find something in PVDF that really is to your liking, this may be another option for you. So again, just a great conversation to have as you're thinking about schematic design and then getting into construction documents. So definitely, we talked about exotics. We talked about all the different types of paint that are out there. PVDF, you can do micas, metallics, you can do two-tone. There's some wonderful color shift products that are out there that are available in extrusion coating. Just a variety, endless types of options. So that's exciting. But again, let's talk about the location of your project. If it's going to be in the middle of a super arid environment that gets tons and tons of sun, you may not want to go with an exotic red. You may want to choose a little bit more muted red, more muted color to make sure that that quality lasts a lifetime. And just a quick difference between horizontal and vertical lines. On the left-hand side, you'll see a vertical paint line. This typically is utilized for extrusions. They're going to paint one profile over and over again. Typically, the max height on this is 24 feet in length. On the right-hand side, you'll see a horizontal paint line, and that's going to be able to paint a variety of profiles, a variety of shapes. Our paint line, we can paint parts up to 38 feet in length. And something I'll mention here also is, let's say, for example, you have one color for your entire project and you're getting your extrusions painted at a vertical line, you're getting everything else painted at a horizontal line, and you have an extrusion that's being put next to, let's say, brake metal, for example, and the color looks slightly different, even though they're the same color. And that's because the processes are different. That's called pigment flop. So if you want that look and you want really nice cohesiveness, have everything painted at the horizontal paint line. Everything, all the deltas are going to be exactly the same, and everything will be perfect and seamless in terms of color. If that's not possible, we recommend using a complementary color if you think that your vertically painted pieces are going to be next to some of those other pieces coming from a horizontal line. We talked a little bit about the pre-treat. It primarily just after the metal has been cleaned and prepped. It's run through a 5-stage pre-treat system, and that pretty much gets off anything else that's left on that metal. And it's an etching process. When you paint metal, it's not going to be like you went to Home Depot and bought a can of spray paint and you're painting maybe your metal furniture that's outside on your patio. For architectural purposes, this process creates a surface that the paint adheres to. So this is a very important step in the painting process. It goes through a pre-bake oven, and then the extrusion coating is applied using E-stat guns, and those are electrostatically charged so that the paint actually wraps the part. And then, of course, once it's cured in our 200-foot oven and comes out the other side, it goes through a battery of quality control tests that meet and exceed AMA standards, making sure that the mill thickness on all of those parts is exactly what it should be. And then it is shipped to a job site. So that is a broad brush of perforated products, some of the options that are available to you to use them in your project design, as well as, you know, we talked a little bit about the coating options that are out there, as well as the processes for coatings. So we really hope that you enjoyed this webinar and are happy to take any questions if you'd like to ask those live or in the chat. I will also say, please give us a follow on LinkedIn. We have company pages there, as well as Facebook. And please connect with me on LinkedIn. I really enjoy connecting with folks there and answering questions if I can. I try to share articles about what's going on in the built environment, and would love to connect with you.
Thank you so much, Holly. That was great and super informative. And thank you, Scott, too. I know you've been busy at work answering a lot of these questions that are coming in. So just wanted to remind folks once more, the AIA sign-in form is in the chat. So if you want to fill that out before the end of today's event, that'll ensure that we've got your AIA number for reporting credits. And I see that Matt has raised their hand. So if you'd like to ask a question out loud, we've got a few minutes left. So feel free to raise your hand. Matt, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, they lowered their hand. They didn't want to talk out loud.
Oh, that's okay.
Maybe that was just a mistake. But yeah, please feel free to raise your hand if you've got a question that feels easier to ask out loud. You don't have to turn your video on. So I promise it's not too scary. But I wanted to, oh, we've got someone. All right, Diego. One moment and I'll unmute you. All right. Hey, Diego.
Thank you. Hi, it's just a really quick question, actually.
Cool.
I'm over in Canada, so I'm wondering about feasibility for shipping over products, or generally just for having products delivered over to Canada. Or another question too is if you have done projects recently in Canada. So 2 questions. Sorry.
Okay, you were breaking up just a little bit, but I think you asked about shipping to Canada. Yes, we can do that. We don't have any projects that we've done in Canada to my knowledge. We do have another product that's a floor stand that is not an architectural product, but it's utilized for data centers. And I think we've supplied some of those to several Canada locations. But outside of that, would love an opportunity to do that.
Cool. All
I
right.
did, I did fill out the information, so if once I receive that, maybe I'll follow up.
Great.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Diego.
Yeah. Great questions, everybody. I've been machine gun typing with my 4 fingers to answer these great 20 questions. A few I hadn't heard in the past, and I love great questions. So yeah, thanks much, y'all.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I'm seeing a few folks ask about CEU credits and throwing their AIA numbers into the chat. So I'm going to send the link form for adding your AIA number right into that form. That'll make sure that we have it. And let's see. It's in the webinar chat to everyone, Lori. All right. And then there's a few questions we can go ahead and try to answer some out loud. Let's see. So I see that Scott is already typing for this one, but maybe we can answer this one out loud as well. Do you manufacture a perforated ceiling?
Yeah, I was, in most cases, these are those few incidents where you see interior ceilings where you may see thinner metal and smaller holes, and that's really not our cup of tea. Those are mass produced. Now, if you want to get into something a little more custom, then that's where we could help out.
Great. And then from Roy, who provides the clip mounts to a curtain wall system?
Well, what you would call a knife clip, which comes off the curtain wall, that's provided by the curtain wall folks. And then everything from that point out would be provided by someone like American Metalcraft. And as I mentioned, answering one of the questions earlier, it's key in those cases that the curtain wall supplier and the perforated panel supplier, they're not necessarily always the same installer, but in a lot of cases they are. And to coordinate the perforated shop drawings with the curtain wall shop drawings. The curtain wall folks need to know all of our loading information that's going to occur on our system that's going to be applied to their knife edge attachment point. So that coordination is really important. And there was an example of that there at University of Idaho where that coordination took place.
All right. And then from Alfonso, is your product available in Louisiana?
Heck
Yes.
yeah. I mean, I'm in Alabama. That's not too far away. I'll drive it over myself. Get some crawfish.
There you go. That sounds good.
I used to live in Louisiana for a little bit. I went to school there, and I do really miss crawfish season.
Mm.
I've had some outside of New Orleans, and it's just not the same.
Yeah, you got that right. We cook crawfish here in Alabama. They come into season in January, go out early June, and yeah, we love boiling them up.
They are delicious. All right. Let's see. We've got one more question I think we could get to, and then we'll let everyone head out. So, can you produce custom perf metal panels, and what is the thickest gauge option? I have a steel canopy project. We're considering cut plate versus perforated.
Heck yeah, we can. Now remember, when you get into custom, you get into the water jet. The water jet machine makes panels slower than the punch, so they're going to be a little more expensive. But yeah, we sure can. I would love to see your design and have some input on it. But yeah, you know, it's fun doing the round holes because that's what most budgets can take. But when you get into the custom stuff, it's a little extra fun.
Yeah, and there's, we have a 3-2-1 pattern that's on our website that kind of gives a little bit more of a custom look, but is a more economical solution. So that's one to definitely check out.
Sorry, I didn't answer the metal thickness. Generally, we won't go any thicker than 1/4 inch, but 1/4 inch is heavy duty. We're looking at some balcony panels where you'll have human beings out there that could, I guess, push on them, what have you. and we're going to 1/4 inch thick for those perforated panels.
All right, great. So with that, I think we can wrap up today. I see most of these other questions are just CE related. And thank you everyone so much for asking so many great questions and for coming out and joining today's webinar. Thank you, Holly, and thank you, Scott. This was super informative and yeah, really fun to listen to. So
thank you so much. And let us know, you guys, if you want a lunch and learn in person at your firm. We have a total of 4 classes that are available. 3 are listed on our website. 1 just got approved, so I haven't added it yet. But we're happy to come out to your firm. We've got Scott and I travel, and we also have independent reps across the country. So please let us know if you'd like us to visit your firm.
awesome. Great. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Hope everybody has a good rest of their Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.